Hey there, welcome to Board Game Barrister, our local game shop in Milwaukee, Wisconsin. It is Tuesday once again. Every single Tuesday we get to play a game, and today we played Teeter Tower, a game of luck and dexterity that's going to teach you some architecture along the way, whether you want to know it or not. I'm here with my fellow barristers, Glenn, Ian, and Gordon, and we're going to talk about everything we liked about the game and why we sweated the entire time we were playing. But before we do that, we're going to talk about how to play. Welcome to Teeter Tower, a cooperative dexterity game where we're going to work together to try to build a tower out of tiles and dice. On each player's turn, they're going to go into the dice bag and draw 4 dice randomly out of the bag. Then they roll those dice, and then they're going to look at their results, and based on the results of their dice and the colors of dice they drew, they'll decide which of these tiles they want to add to the tower this turn. Taking a closer look at those tiles, you can see that each of them has numbered areas of white space as well as blank areas of colored space in the color of that tile. When you pick your tile for the turn, you're going to add it to the top of the current tower, and then you have to put at least one of the dice you rolled on that tile. A die result of the same number of one of the white areas can go anywhere on that area, so this 2 could live anywhere in this white area labeled 2. And a die of the same color of the tile that you choose can go anywhere in that colored space on the tile. In some cases, you'll even have a scenario where a die can overlap between a number and a color. This blue 6 could go halfway between the blue and the 6 and still be safely on top of areas that it's able to go on. I rolled a good number of blues for my turn, so I'm going to take that blue tile and then stack on top of that. That's got to get centered on our base die, and that'll be the foundation for the rest of the tower. And from there, I have to add at least 1 die. I probably want to add more than 1 die so that we have a good solid foundation for the next player who goes. I do have a number match for the 5 here, but I think I just want to put these last 2 dice in the corners, and I can put them on simultaneously like that. Great, that's our first layer of the tower done, and it's the next player's turn. That die I didn't use goes back in the bag. We're going to keep on adding more tiles and more dice as the tower grows taller and taller. And we're trying to get through all 3 stacks of all of our tiles that are in play. Now there are 2 ways we can lose the game while we're doing this. The first of which is if we use up all the dice in the bag before our tower is complete, so we can't just put all 4 of our dice on every single tile. And the second is that if we don't have a strong enough structure, or if somebody's a little too shaky and part of that tower falls, then we all lose together as well. Now if we are able to use up all the tiles in the game and get them stacked onto the tower without knocking it down, then we're exactly 1 step away from winning. And that final step is the capstone. The capstone is a tile and a die that the last player is going to have to add to the tower. This is going to look super easy because my tower is only less than half the height it would actually be by the end of the game. They're going to have to add that tile and then the final die on top of it, and if those stay strong, then we win. All right, so we played a few times because we wanted to win and we couldn't. So it actually took us about a half hour each time we played, and that's because we were doing a lot of thinking about the right way to make this tower happen. The cool part about playing with 4 players was that you get to collaborate the entire time and kind of connect with each other about what the right play is going to be, but the player whose turn it is does have to be the one who actually has to place that tile and the dice on top of it each time. So we really liked it at 4. The game plays all the way down to 1 player because it would just be all on you to complete that tower yourself as you are rolling those dice. Wouldn't change anything about the gameplay except that you would have to sweat the entire time you were playing instead of 1/4 of the time you were playing. But yeah, we had a great time with it.
So I'm a huge fan of cooperative games, and having a cooperative dexterity game is a really kind of a unique thing that I have not played a whole bunch of, if any. This one really requires you to rely on your fellow players to make good decisions and to set you up for success on the later parts of the game, which I think is really fun and it's difficult. And anytime I play a co-op game, I want it to be challenging so that, I can beat cardboard any day, but if it beats me over and over again, it lets me strive for success and it makes me want to replay the game a bunch. And we even struggled on the novice mode, and there's 3 other modes beyond that add complexity to it. So for me, that's my big takeaway from this, is that not a lot of co-op games have a dexterity element, which is really unique, and it being challenging lets you have a bunch of replayability with the group you're playing with.
It's not going to be the last thing I put down. No! Who knew? I thought I had the anchors.
I love the randomness that the dice adds, because you really can't plan out your next move until those dice have hit the table, because it's like, oh, we want to use that orange card because we have a lot of orange cards left, but if I pull all blue dice and I roll no numbers that fit the orange card, I'm not playing anyway. So planning ahead like that is pointless. You can't make any decisions till you see those dice in front of you, and I like that.
And there's an element to the randomness that I really like, and go really deep here, but it reminds me of Donkey Kong, where there are some times where the randomness is just going to make you lose. Right, and there's nothing about it. We just have to accept that sometimes those dice are going to give you a combination that isn't going to work. But that means that you have to take advantage of recognizing when it's giving you the combinations that will work, and then executing that based on what the randomness is, and recognizing that, yeah, you know what, all challenges are not equal, and how good am I with the challenge that's been presented in front of me. And I think that is a really neat element to this game.
We kept joking about how we all had enormous copies in front of us while we were playing too, and so like the biggest challenge for me in this game was actually just like a jittery hand, which I probably would have regardless to some extent. But I like that, like, if you're playing with a younger player, probably all the way up until like high school, they're probably going to be super like, why is this hard for you? You just put the die down and that's where you wanted it to go, right? Because they have small fingers and they're able to just, you know, have steady hands. But the challenge for them is going to be the impulse control of not just saying, oh, it's easy to put it here, so I'll put it here, because there is an architectural element to this. We were all able to do the strategy of trying to sort out where the weight distribution should go and, you know, where we had solid foundations of dice. For a younger player, that's what they're going to have to work on and learn, is to say, if I put a die in that spot, even with the steadiest hand, it's going to topple the tower.
I'll add on to that strategy is that it really encourages the ability to pre-plan. The rules will even tell you, you can take your tile and preset it in front of you, and it encourages you to do so. And I found that to be really important. That can be a really good habit, and in some fields and professions, a required one. So I like that a whole bunch.
I mean, I could give you...
Yeah, that's the play for sure.
Could give you that.
Too.
I'll take it.
And then this 4.
Boy. Oh!
See?
I totally pulled it a little bit. You know what? We worked hard for this.
Yeah. Nailed it.
I'm used to dexterity games being kind of a tactical, you know, what am I going to do? How good am I? You know, how much am I going to push my luck, or what crazy move am I going to try to make? And the amount of brain power that we ended up spending on this for a dexterity game, it's like, oh, this was unexpected, and I really liked the way that came together.
Yeah, knowing that every decision you make is going to reverberate through the entire tower for the rest of the game is wild.
And that really shows when Andy was taking his turns, and he's very... the face is red, the neck is bulging. Just
well, and a lot of that is because you care. Like, you care about the work that your partners did, and that's the successful co-op game. Is like, I want my other players to feel good about the decisions they made, and you don't want to fail them. Like, it's not that you don't want to fail the game. You don't want to fail your friends when you're playing. You're like, man, I really want this to be successful, and it feels really fun to challenge yourself to build something with your friends.
Alrighty, I think that does it for Teeter Tower. Thank you so much for joining us. We had a great time playing. I hope you had a fun time watching, and the game looked fun to you as well. As always, if you'd like to see us post videos every single week, when those go up, you can hit that subscribe button, and you will get to hang out with us every Tuesday. You can also hit that like and subscribe. Love that. Thank you so much for joining us this time, and we will see you next week.
I mean, this has stood the test of time.
Yeah. How is this not fun?
It is the most stable tower that's ever been built.
It is.
Yeah. No.